Hi, it's Bren. We're doing another episode of Things by Bren. Today we are with Marie, and Marie has had a complicated life. She grew up in a not so good environment. She's actually been on the streets. When I say streets, I mean a street life, a thug life, a life that some of us can't even imagine. And she's been in and out of the system for up to 7 years. She had a baby in the system while she was incarcerated, but people can change. And she has been trying that. She has been accomplishing that. She has been doing what she needs to do so her children do not have to go through the things that she went through. She's been out now for a little over 8 years, and we're going to hear her story about change. Marie, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on with you. If you want to tell us a little bit about your upbringing and just kind of move a little bit forward.
Okay, I'm Marie Babisky. I come from Edmonton, Alberta. I currently am in Vancouver now. I'm a fashion designer, a youth coordinator, a screen printer, and yeah, I have my own store, and I'm going to be moving forward soon, very soon, and writing a book. Yeah, to basically share my story more, so people can, be inspired and know I'm able to connect with other people who've gone through the similar lifestyles I have. I was raised by, well, I can't really say I was raised. The woman who gave birth to me, she had a lot of issues, and I believe they stemmed from her childhood of abuse and so forth. And growing up, my life was very chaotic. My mom would drink a lot, and she was very mean to me. I felt like I was her personal punching bag, and I remember just it was really bad. This is how she lashed out, and it would come after me, and she would hurt me and let other people hurt me, her boyfriends and men that would just come in and out of her life. And it was just a really horrific childhood. It that going through all of that stuff and in and out of her care. I was always in a foster home or back in her house where she was drunk hitting me, and then all of a sudden back in a foster home. So it was never stable for me. When I was about 12, it got really, really bad, and I got so tired of the abuse, and just going back and forth from foster homes to her care. And I decided that this isn't safe for me. There was an incident with one of her boyfriends, and it really, really affected me. And I knew that she would never protect me. It didn't matter if any situation that I was in. Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's what this is about. We are trying to get the word out there that people do live the way that you are absolutely that what you're talking about, that it is absolutely true, and it affects us. Not only does it affect us, it makes us make decisions that we probably wouldn't have made if we weren't in that environment. So how did you move on from that?
Well, I went to the streets, and on the streets, I had met this woman, and she took me in. She was actually the president, a female president of one of the gangs on the streets. And I didn't know that at that time. All I knew is that she cared about me.
And
She wouldn't let anyone hurt me.
Mhm.
She wouldn't let, it was just, she was so protective of me, and she fed me, she gave me clothes, she tried to get me places to stay. Like, she really went out of her way for a long time. Like, I was on the streets a long time. And yeah, she was like, she took me under her wing. And of course, when you start running with gangs, your life goes a lot different, and it's just completely crime and violence and all of the other bad stuff that comes with it. And so I had to go through that and survive that. The hardest thing is when you get mixed up with all that life, that becomes your only life, and that's what you're comfortable and safe with. You know, it
Hard to
was,
get out of too, isn't it?
yeah, especially when you're not shown anything else. I mean, you go into the correctional system, they basically throw you in a cell, take all your possessions, treat you like shit, and then you get out to the streets with nothing.
You
There's
come
no
right back into the same
support.
situation that got you put in with.
Exactly. There's no support. There's no landing pad. There's no, like, I've seen people who really wanted to change their lives, get out of jail, come back 24 hours later. You know, and I'm sorry to say, but that became me too. At one time, you know, I literally got out for like 3 days and got incarcerated again. You know, it was like a swinging door. And I knew no other life but to do crime to survive.
Mhm. And you have completely changed your aspect, your opinion, your lifestyle, everything on that. Because when we were speaking before, she informed me that she is not for violence. She is not for that life anymore. She's completely against it. She doesn't even have a relationship with her birth mother now because she doesn't want her kids anywhere around it. She's trying to make sure that they have a complete opposite lifestyle of what she had, which is absolutely commendable. It absolutely is. And it's hard. You can tell that it still bothers you. Um, when
Yes,
you when
honestly.
you had, she told me earlier that she had a child while she was incarcerated. So tell us a little bit about that and what goes through your mindset.
So one of my crimes, one thing I got charged a lot for was stolen cars and high speed chases. I got into a really bad high speed chase in my early 20s. As a result of that, any stolen car, even if I was a passenger, it would get me a high amount of time. Doesn't matter if I was driving or not, or if I stole it or not. So my ex had, I think he was watching me really fall into the life a little bit worse than I could come out of. So he had decided to take me to his reserve out in Saskatchewan. When we were, the only way we could get out there was a stolen car. So he went and stole the car and he took me out there and we got caught and we got arrested. And because it was a newer charge. I think it was like his second stolen car. He literally walked and they gave me 18 months.
Mm, that doesn't seem
And
like that was fair.
no, not at all. But yeah, so they gave me a lot of time and I had found out I was pregnant when I was incarcerated. So I didn't know. I went in this little skinny tiny thing, you know, and
Your
I was
body
sitting
changed.
there and then they told me I was pregnant and I knew I was serving all this time and I just it was it was hard being pregnant in jail because you're not respected, you're not treated, you don't, there's nothing, you're treated exactly like everyone else. And you know, there was another woman who was in there at the same time, we were both pregnant together, and she had some drug issues and she had gotten caught cheating her pills, and they took her to the hole for 10 days, stripped her naked, everything. She was like ready to pop.
Oh my. And for those of you that don't know, cheeking your pills, you go through a pill call line to get your medication and you don't swallow them, you cheek them. And you can, people either buy them from you to get high or you save them and get high on them later once you have enough. There's many different reasons why people cheek their pills. So that's what she's talking about.
Mhm. Um, So just before I had my baby, I had two guards who, and I hope that if they ever see this, they were guards at Pine Grove Correctional Center in Saskatchewan, Alberta, or Saskatchewan, Prince Albert. And there's these two ladies, they were younger and they really fought for me to get parole. I seriously thought that I wasn't gonna get it. I was ready to sign the papers for child welfare and, you know, like everything in that last 2 weeks before I had my baby was like just so scary and so intense. And when I got parole, I was just, God, I just knew somebody was watching over me. Something had happened where I was going to be able to have my baby.
Mhm. So you
And
were able to have the baby outside of being incarcerated. You were able to have it outside of jail, prison, being.
yeah, so I was released. And then 5 days after, well, I got released to a halfway house, and I was at the halfway house for 2 days. I decided to, like, I knew I had to get a place immediately because they were telling me that I had to sign the papers.
Ow.
Hey, go please. I had to sign the papers
Let
in
her
the
come
cupboard.
let her come sit with you. It's okay.
I don't see it.
So in the so in that time I had gotten a place, I think like on my 3rd or 4th day in the halfway house. And on my 5th day, I moved out. The next day, my water broke in my apartment.
Was this your first
And-
child?
Oh, no. This is my 3rd.
Okay.
So my water broke in my apartment. Freaked me out because I was all alone. The time while I was incarcerated, my daughter's dad moved on.
Mhm.
He forgot about me, and he didn't forget about me. He just didn't care enough to reach out to me. At one point while I was pregnant, he had gotten incarcerated and sent me a letter saying he was
Then he
going to be
cared.
there.
Then he cared because he needed help.
Yeah. And he basically sent me a letter saying that he spent his 20 grand and he had like $100 left for the baby. And, it was just so much. And, I got out and I was alone. And the hardest thing about being out with a new baby and coming out of that life was I didn't know how to live life. And I was reaching out for support, and I didn't feel like I was getting the help that I needed, because I was doing the parenting group, I was doing counseling, but I wasn't. The jam is in the cupboard. Go get it, please. I'm on the phone. Please go. So can you go? Sorry.
Okay, it's all right.
You girls, please, I'm talking. You need to go, please. Let me finish. So, it was hard for me to understand how to change those criminal things that were going on in my head.
Right.
And
That's
I
a different thought process.
Yeah, definitely. So when obviously like five months into me on parole in the community, my daughter's dad had called me saying he needed me and all this stuff. And I had found out that he didn't need me. He was living with another woman. I drove all the way down to his hometown to go get him, and he was with another woman. I don't know why the hell he got me to go down there. It broke my heart, and I reoffended.
Mm-hmm.
And I assaulted 7 officers, and I just made a mistake.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Mm-hmm. And she does regret the violent part of a lot of things. We discussed that she is trying to live a very non-violent life.
I definitely do. I don't believe in violence. I think that there's always ways to go past it. I've made mistakes. I'm not perfect. I do have a lot of offenses against officers. Because usually when I get arrested, I'm not getting arrested. I don't know why I think that, but sometimes I do. So
it's not happening to me.
So Juliet,
they are fine. This is your life. You are trying to turn your life around, and you know what? Kids are part of that. So that's okay. Let them talk. Let them do what they need to do.
So I went back to jail, and I had to serve even more time because I got more charges, and they pulled my parole. They pulled my date and everything. So, and that was my last time. Okay, go eat your chocolate in the room so I can finish talking. Thank you. I love you too. I love you too. So
you will love to hear those words as those kids get older.
Yeah, I love you wasn't a word of my growing up for me. So I really make sure that we say it like 100 times a day here. So
that is absolutely wonderful.
So that last bit of mine was the hardest bit I've ever done in my life. Usually jail is a breeze for me. I can go in. I know a lot of gang members. I know a lot of criminals. I'm these are my family. I'm comfortable with them. So doing time is very easy for me. But this last bit, it wasn't. I cried every single day. My whole world was taken. Everything that I built in that 5 months was gone because I let a heartbreak control my actions.
Right.
And so I really had to work. I knew just before my date was coming to get released, I knew that there was something inside of me that was just so hurt and so mad and angry and just hated the world. And I knew I had to change that.
If you didn't change that mindset, do you think you'd be back in there?
You girls, I can't hear her. I knew I had to change that because if I didn't change it, I would have kept doing the same thing. And I had this little daughter out in the community, and I needed to teach myself how to love so I could be better for her and actually raise her. Because one of the things is I never wanted to be away from my baby again.
Right.
And I remember when I went in the second time, because people knew me who were still in there from getting out when I was pregnant. And there were some girls who were like, why is she crying all the time? Like, what the hell is this, you know? And there was girls who stood up for me and like, man, she just got out and had a baby. And like, she had her whole life set for her and she messed up and she's back, you know? So you'd be crying too. And I feel like that was it for me. I knew that when I got out, I was going to change, but it didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of years for me to build the courage to move forward and speak my story and go to school and just accept that I have a criminal record and I'm a criminal and I'm a gang member. And these are things that were in my life. I was abused, you know, but these are things that at one point in my life, I knew I could overcome, and I knew that I could stop it so it didn't happen to my children.
Which is very, very remarkable because a lot of people don't know that change needs to happen. And the other thing is, you said, I am a criminal, I am a gang member. You need to start saying I was, because you're not that person anymore.
I'm not that person anymore, but I'm going to say this. I never dropped my colors in my gang. I didn't get kicked out of my gang. I didn't anything. They just knew that it was time for me to go live my life, and they let me. So I have a lot of respect for the people who I used to run the streets with because they really cared and they really protected me. So I still, to this day, I do call them family. As for me doing any crime or gang activity, I don't.
You don't live that lifestyle.
Know that. Yeah, everybody, and they're really proud of me. Like I have, you know, got some pretty gangster friends who were really cheering me on, you know, like, and it's for me, it's like they see me now as the girl who got out. I'm the girl who made it. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in life, but I am so happy at night when I come home to my kids and you know that I have my own stuff and I can make the choices in life now that are so different. Like, you know, my education was what really brought me forward.
Right.
And I know I dropped out in grade 7. I dropped out due to, you know, being in foster homes and the abuse that was going on in my own home. And I wasn't a part of the class or a part of the group, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I obviously got bullied and all of that other stuff that happens when you're preteening. And that was just that for me. It was like, why should I be at home getting beat and then go to school and get put down? You know, like, what is this? You know? So
You decided to just not deal with it at all.
Yeah. So I made the choice to drop out in grade 7 and I didn't go back. And when I moved to Vancouver, I got offered the opportunity of full-time daycare if I went back to school. And, you know, my kids were very young and I'm like, you know what? If I get full-time daycare, I can go back to school and actually do this. Maybe grade 12 isn't that bad. And I did it. I passed my grade 12, and I was asked to come back for college. And I knew with college I'd have to do the criminal record check.
Right.
And it worried me because I was like, okay, well, this is going to be a lot. And what if the violence in my criminal record doesn't allow me to move forward? You know, I was going for my bachelor in social work. And so I did a year of college in the family community counseling course. It did teach me a lot of things to move forward in the business world and with like nonviolent communication, working with people who've been through trauma. It also taught me a lot of things on how society looks at people who are single mothers, low income,
Mhm.
who have addiction issues, you know, who are the minorities. And it is horrible. I could not believe some of the things that they were taught in that class. And I'm pretty sure the professors didn't even want to teach it, but it was coming out of a book and we needed to learn it the way the government of Canada feels it should be taught.
Right.
Which to me, being abused, you know, all of these things that I've gone through in life, I felt very like disgusted that the government was basically telling us that we weren't going to make it, and neither were our children.
Right.
You know, so my second
If you're
year
being told that, why is there even a need to try to change?
exactly right. It's just
Really
such a
want it. You have to
horrible-
change that mindset. Absolutely.
yeah. So it was such a heavy, dark feeling going into some of those classes where we knew it was going to be talked about. But
Not only
so
was it talked about, you were living it.
oh yeah. Actually, you know what? I should share this. There was one time in class where a lot of people, when they see me, they don't know that I've had this bad lifestyle. And they just assume that I grew up good because the way I look, but that's not the case at all. So we were sharing stories at one time. I had a group of girlfriends, you know, class was going great. Everyone liked me and all this great stuff. I had shared a story about me being incarcerated.
Mhm.
And, you know, some of the stuff that I have gone through in jail and being a gang member. And instantly that day, those girls were not my friends anymore.
Yep.
And they would talk
Unfortunately.
about me.
But you know what? You didn't need them as a friend.
Oh no, absolutely not. But you know, I had to go through that as an adult in college to be completely pushed away from these girls and other people in the class. But on the flip side, I had 2 or 3 people come up to me and be like, wow, I've done time too. I can't believe you shared that. You know, you're amazing for sharing that.
It
You know,
takes
so
courage. And people
yeah,
need to
well,
hear that because you can help just one at a time. And if you
mhm.
can do that, then what you're trying to accomplish now is worth it.
Well,
Absolutely.
definitely. And I feel like it's still a stigma. You know, we still no matter what I do in life, some people won't like me because I was a criminal and a gang member. And you know, some
Unfortunately, that's
people
the truth.
cherish me, and that's great, you know. I'm very vocal about my story now, and you know, sometimes it bothers me when people judge me, but for the most part, it's not their life, and they haven't gone through half the pain that I've gone through. You know, like even now being a mother and not, I wasn't, you know, I didn't have a healthy mom or anything. I didn't know. There's still things that I'm learning to this day where I'm like, okay, I need to learn this, sit down and think about it, and then ask some questions to somebody else because I need to get this right, you know,
Which is
because my
important.
daughters
I feel that
are
it's
getting to
important.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. It's important to have that healthy relationship, you know, and I realized, you know, like my kids are getting their emotions and they're pre-teening now. So it's like I'm learning how to be, every day is learning. So I'm learning how to be even healthier and, you know, working on these bonds and like, you know, teaching my children how to take care of themselves. Cause sadly, that's not what my mom did. Like she never brushed my hair and it was just, yeah. So, and that, you know, I'm teaching my children how to do this
Right.
is like brush right down to brushing their teeth. You know, just the smallest things are huge for us.
Which is okay. That's all right. You know, you got to take it the way you've got to take it. You've got to do the steps the way you have to do the steps, and you have to accept the things that happened in the past, but you don't have to live there anymore. You
Mm-mm.
absolutely don't have to live there anymore. So talk to me about this book you're writing and what she talked to me a little bit earlier about having a passion for youth, that if she could help youth that's went through what she went through, or coming out of it or going into it or whatever that's going on in their lives, because she's been there, done that. She has a passion for that. She wants to help them. And she said if she would have had somebody like that to help her, she maybe would not have made all the decisions that she made. So talk to us about your passion for the youth, and then what this book is going to be about.
So when I first went into correctional, I was a young offender, and I remember walking through those doors and stripping me of all my clothes, feeling for the first time, probably not for the first time, but for the first time, definitely in front of authorities, feeling completely bare.
Right.
Like I was nothing, and I had no say or no nothing. I had to do what they said, even though it was demeaning. And personally, I don't think any youth should have to be strip searched, but that's not how the government sees it.
No, they do. They strip search.
Yeah, and it's horrible. It's horrible to be standing there at 13 years old, told to take off everything, bend over, do all the stuff, when you're just a child. And not even a child who has gone through just like a semi-okay life, a child who's been abused, who's been hurt, who's been touched, who's been,
Right.
like the list goes on. So it was just very dehumanizing to me. And I felt like, when I did that time and I got out, if somebody would have worked with me right away, who had gone through these experiences of abuse and stuff like that, I maybe would have had a chance to have a better life. If somebody would have guided me. And I believe that's so strong, is that, when you see youth acting out, it's because something's wrong in their home life.
Right.
And the first thing they do is act out, and we need to address that right away. And the only way to address that is to get on their level.
Right.
You need to have been where they've come from, because we connect different. People who, anybody, like someone say like me, I was abused, and there was someone who wasn't abused. We couldn't connect, right? Because they would never know
Didn't
what
understand it.
feelings
Right.
really were. So coming from juvie, coming from a bad childhood, growing up in jail, on the streets, these are things that I can connect with, and I'm sure if I get that out there and start reaching out and sharing my story, these kids are going to be like, holy shit, maybe I can do things a little bit different, and things won't go as bad, because every child wants help.
Right.
Every single child, it doesn't matter how bad in a way they are, we're all seeking some kind of help.
Absolutely. So talk to us about Pretty East Van.
Okay, so I now work down in East Vancouver. We have a great community down here. I have a store called Pretty Van Designs, and I also do screen printing. I'm a youth coordinator, and I'm going to be starting 2 podcasts right away.
Good.
Thank you. Well, I really like to share my story and connect with people. I think that's it just makes me feel so honored and brings life to me.
Absolutely. It's a change of where you've been to where
Yeah.
you're going, and it will probably also help you to heal.
Down here in Vancouver, I work a lot on Main and Hastings. So if anyone knows Main and Hastings, they know that this is one of the poorest area codes in Canada. We have blocks and blocks full of active users, homeless, mental health, everything. And it's just walked by every day. A lot of these people, I know their names. I've sat with them, we've shared stories, and, these are people.
Right.
And
They are people.
I took the name Pretty East Van because, one, I used to work for an East Van clothing company, and everybody thought I was pretty in this cute thing. And 2, because I really represent my community. Like, I may have not been born and raised down here, but I know what these people are going through, and my children will be raised down here. So, we're here for life, and this is where, this is where home is.
Mhm. And you do have to make a home somewhere, so you might as well be where you want it to be. And if it's in a place that is maybe not the best, but it still feels like home, then that's okay. Because
I feel
home,
safer on Main
home
and
is here.
Hastings. Yes, I feel safer on Main and Hastings with say my people rather than being in a schoolroom and being judged, you know? So it's like I feel safer with the homeless than I do with people who
Isn't that
sit up
crazy?
there. I know, right? But it's just it's how people are. They're humble,
Yes. Yes,
you
they are.
know, and they don't judge because they've been judged before, you know. They don't have these things in their heads where I'm better than you, because
Right.
they're just living life.
Right. And
And I respect
I've
them.
seen and heard stories of people who are homeless are stereotyped too, because they think, well, they don't have anything. Sometimes it is a choice. They don't want to go back to having that job, having that responsibility, having that life, that they are actually happier living the way that they're living. And if that's okay, that's okay. If that's okay with them, that's okay. And we should not judge them. We should not judge them. Now, and there are some folks that are homeless because they've lost their job and they've lost their home. They don't have family and they don't have the support system that they need, but they're still people.
Yeah, I
They're
know a
still
beautiful
people.
couple because of the COVID hit. He lost his job, she lost her job, they're homeless.
Yes.
You know, and and this is just like they've been homeless for a few months and it's horrible. Like, you know, these were good people and they're still good people, you know.
Right.
Like I see them and I really try to push for housing for them. And it's we're living in Vancouver. It's a hard city to live in financially, housing wise, but you know, there's a lot of agencies down here that are working hard to support the people, and we see that every day. And it's just, you know, it's good to have people that actually care.
It is good.
So,
And we need more of that. We absolutely do. Well, in wrapping up, what would you give as far as advice to the public watching you right now?
okay, so we've shared a lot about my criminal life and my gang and the streets and stuff like that. This is how hard I have changed. I actually work for the Vancouver Aboriginal Policing Society now. I sit in vans with cops and we have conversations. They treat me like I'm a normal person. I'm actually comfortable with police. So
You probably would have never thought you would have been ever.
ever, ever. So yeah.
Mhm.
And I guess my advice would be that if I had to change for myself, so if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Absolutely. If you want
I
it
had
bad enough, you find a way.
yes, absolutely. I had a lot against me and I had done it, and yeah.
Mhm. That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Loved hearing your story. I'm so pleased that you have not only tried to change, but you have changed and you're still continuing to change, and that you're wanting to write a book about your story, that you're wanting to um, help others that have possibly been in that situation and get them through it, especially the youth. I think that's just absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much for being with us. If people want to find out about your shop or your store, where would they go?
I'm located at www.prettyvandesigns and are on Instagram and Facebook as Pretty East Van.
Okay.
I do a lot of interviews, so yeah, everything's on Instagram and Facebook, and yeah, I just love sharing my story.
If any of you have a similar situation or you need help or you have a youth that needs help, please reach out to her. She's happy to help extend her experience and her what she's done to change her life testimony. She's willing to share that with you or your child or whomever that you feel that you need to be shared, want this to be shared with. So thank you again. I really appreciate it. You have a
Okay,
wonderful,
thank you.
wonderful evening.